Hello and welcome to Half Price Reviews. I'm Alex.
And I'm John.
And today we're going to be talking about Evanescence's latest album, The Bitter Truth. Cue that intro. Okay, so Evanescence. Wow, that is a band that takes me back to middle school. Do they take you that far back, John? Were you listening to Evanescence back then?
Whenever Daredevil came out.
I don't know if that was my first exposure to the band. I remember AOL Instant Messenger, where you could apply tones to your screen names.
Mm-hmm.
And, back then Fallen was huge and just came out. There were a couple different guitar riffs and audio sound bites from both Going Under and Bring Me to Life.
Yeah. My best friend had Wake Me Up!
Wake Me Up! Then they released Anywhere But Home, which was a live album. And before they followed up with The Open Door as their sophomore album. Not my favorite Evanescence album, I'll be completely transparent. And then I don't think anything else came out between that point and their self-titled album in 2011, which is my favorite album. I would periodically just go online to see if there was any news about a new Evanescence album since 2011 and was disappointed for basically all the years following up. I mean, they released a demos album, they did a project called Synthesis, but nothing like in terms of a full-bodied record until 2021 with The Bitter Truth. So with such a long time in between, there was really a big question mark as to what this album would sound like. Is Evanescence going to sound like their older stuff? Are they going to maintain their rock edge?
Or are they going to sound like Imagine Dragons, like
Exactly.
every other rock band
Right.
that currently exists now?
They released a couple singles before the album came out. Wasted on You was the first one. What did you think about that track?
It's a song that I listened to once, and I was like, all right, I don't think I ever need to hear that again.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
Oh.
And it took me several listens to actually warm up to it. It's a weird mixture of a ballad and a rock song, and it doesn't really fall cleanly into either one. I didn't hear the second single. Apparently that was The Game Is Over. But I did hear Use My Voice, and I thought that was the second one.
What do you think about that one?
There's a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth with just like the surroundings of that track, the context of that track, because I feel like there was a lot of preachiness around it. There's nothing wrong with people having political opinions. I think you should. To me, I think that there's a fine line between having those opinions and the way that you express them. And I think that some of the artistry is lost by the amount of, vocality about just saying like what it is you mean.
Let's just throw it out there. We know she's a liberal. But we know that because of Instagram videos and personal videos that she's made.
Interviews,
correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have always, my whole career, made just sort of like a personal rule that politics aren't my zone, and I'm not going to talk about that. And I definitely still don't want to divide people.
I can tell you're walking that nonpartisan line.
I'm trying. I'm voting for Biden. Is that what you want me to say? I am voting for change.
I would say this song, all she's really doing is encouraging people to vote.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear anything that is liberal or left-leaning.
Yeah, I'm not alleging that either. I think that the message of the song is great. I think it's fine.
I think the message of the song. Well, sorry. If the message of the song is get out there and vote, how many times have we heard that? It is the most tired song.
I thought the message was fine just in terms of like the neutrality of it. I'm not saying that it says exactly in the lyrics, go out and vote. It's your duty as an American.
I actually do like it musically.
Mm-hmm.
I like the millennial woes. I think it's fine. I think the rest of the song fits with the rest of the album aesthetically. But the song is so dramatic. I just watched the music video earlier, and there's a part where she's dramatically looking out the window. And you don't see what's on the other side of the window, and then it focuses, and it's the White House. And she's like, it's my job to speak. It really sounds like she thinks that she's being suppressed somehow. But she lives in a free country. She can vote. Anyone can vote. Everyone can vote. She's fine.
Yeah.
She can say what she wants. No one's stopping her.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about it.
So those were the two songs that I had heard before the album release. And based off of those two tracks, I'm thinking this album's going to be a little bit mediocre. I'm just going to prepare myself for that. I'm still going to buy the box set of this album and all that, but I'm not going to have my hopes too high. So I put on the album and I listened to the first track. It starts off with this eerie kind of opener that you're like, okay, this is going to be a piano ballad just like typical Evanescence. No, it changes and it crescendos and it builds up to the second track, which basically sets the tone for the rest of the album for me.
Yeah.
And then it like comes in with like heavy guitars. The second track, Broken Piece of Shine, I feel like is one of those core Evanescence songs. It's very dynamic. And I feel like just like other tracks that follow up from that kind of fall in the same vein in terms of rock. And then track 4, you hear Yeah Right, which starts off as like this like weird like...
Was that the bump?
Dancey. And you hear the introduction, and when I first heard it, I'm just like, oh crap, like my worst fears are becoming realized. It's been way too long since they've done a rock album. It's just gonna sound like they're going like completely dance. But then the chorus comes on and it feels like they bring it all back together. Like it sounds like Evanescence again. Like it's just a mixing, I guess, of different styles, but ultimately comes out pretty well.
I think the only moment on the album that's of today is the whoa part in Use My Voice.
Use My Voice. That's an interesting structure for like the chorus too. It's not very traditional. It's like whoa.
Well, there's parts after that, or in between the whoas, you just can't hear them very well.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I would like to say some things about the vocal production, if that's okay.
Please do.
Okay, so Amy's vocals, and it's not just that they're mixed too low, which a lot of people are saying. I think it's more than that. Better Without You. This is my second favorite song off the album. In the verses, I can barely hear what the F she is saying. I can make out her louder vocals and then very annoyingly all of her punchy S's and T's, which stings the ears. Oh, I love the smell of the CD. Yeah, produced and mixed by Nick. So that's a name that if I were to try to pronounce it, I'm not sure what would come out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's Polish.
Well, it's up there. So he produced a ton of things, Deftones and other bands.
Okay, so he's well known.
Yeah, he's very... And I'm a really big Korn fan. I know it's not cool to say that, but I like Korn. And so does Amy Lee. One of her favorite albums is Untouchables. He produced the last 2 Korn albums. The last one was pretty good, but the one before that, The Serenity of Suffering, is fantastic. I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything about anything. I do know that there is something called like a parametric EQ.
Yeah, that's in Adobe Premiere.
Yeah, where you can lower the high end if there's hard-hitting S's or T's. There's something called a de-esser, and if that stuff doesn't work, then as a producer, you need to automate the volume of those hard S's and T's and just tweak the volume. Use My Voice. There was problems with her voice, which is really funny. I think the choir of woes are fine if they're mixed really well, and it's a bunch of different female vocals, but nearly all the other vocals are so buried.
Yeah.
But then
I think like in the chorus too.
Yeah. But I like the melody, and then I read the
Mm-hmm.
lyrics, and I was like, actually, they could have turned it down just a little bit more. It sounds like the compression level needed major adjusting. So the compression is basically what makes the loud vocals and the soft vocals kind of sound at the same volume. And so her loud vocals I can hear, but the soft vocals, I'm like, what? Last problem is whoever was doing the production was very lenient about the inhales between lines. So there's a song, Far From Heaven, which is like the only ballad on the album. With some songs, you want to keep certain breaths and vocal takes to better humanize the recording or to make it sound more raw. But in this case, I think it's a beautiful song, it's a beautiful chorus, but between every line of the verses, we hear a very uncomfortable hiccup of an inhale. And it pops out of the song, and it takes me out of it. I can see Amy wanting to leave that in, maybe to make it more raw, but then again, it's up to the producer to automate the volume and make it not pop. So vocal production, what the F? What the F happened? But these are good songs.
Yeah. So for me, there's small gripes about like how the album flows. It feels like there are a lot of rock songs, which I'm not complaining about at all, but it doesn't really take time to breathe until the 10th track, until that ballad. You know, I'm kind of used to, as an Evanescence fan, of hearing those ballads and not hearing them so late. You know, we've mentioned a couple of issues, but you know, if you're an Evanescence fan, or a rock fan in general, I would definitely give this album a listen. I think The Bitter Truth demonstrates that Evanescence still has gas in the tank in terms of them being a rock band.
It sounds like it's not conforming to the music of today, except for one whoa.
So thank you guys for watching us talk about Evanescence and talking about The Bitter Truth. We'll see you in the next video.
Ta-ta.
Yeah, I think if the ballad was earlier in the track listing, it would just help it to flow better.